It is 1 o'clock on this Sunday afternoon. Our special team continuing coverage of Tropical Storm Debby continues. We've got meteorologist Jessica Dobson here with me. We are here all weekend long, followed by Noah Bergram and Laurel Blanchard this afternoon to carry you through the evening and overnight before we're back early tomorrow. But right now, we've got the first bands from Debby making their way through Central Florida. And Jessica, we've been watching a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings pop up.
Yeah, it's really happened pretty quickly. Things kind of escalated really quickly since we had the peak heating, or not really the peak heating of the day. We've just had hot temperatures so far this morning. We've had sunshine, and so once these storms started to filter in, it didn't take much for them to really get going. And so far, no rotating storms, which is good. You're going to get more into that in a moment. But yeah, we've had several warnings, and you probably have heard the thunder maybe at your house,
the winds
the rain.
Blowing.
Yeah, it certainly is. So it's starting to get a little more active.
And as you said, you know, the rotating storm risk, the tornado risk is going to be going up this afternoon considerably. So we wanted to jump in here at 1 o'clock, give you some extended coverage on what's going on right now so you can plan this afternoon. Obviously, after a somewhat nice morning, things are starting to deteriorate pretty quickly out there, and it's going to get really rough before it gets better. So the main bands of Debby right now are located across Tampa Bay, southward through Fort Myers. You can see the center of circulation located about 120 miles off of Anna Maria Island. Brand new tornado warning looks like popping up there in the last loop right here in Hardee County. That's in the Tampa Bay region. We've got a pair of severe thunderstorm warnings for our region, and that is for wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour as one of the more outer bands of Debby is developing in place, long anticipated but much expected. And it's under this band that later we not only can see some flash flooding with areas getting hit repeatedly with thunderstorms and with heavy rain, but also the possibility of a couple tornadoes. These are not rotating, but they are producing wind gusts in excess of 50 to 60 miles per hour from Mount Dora to Eustis, Umatilla to Leesburg. The severe thunderstorm warning in effect till 1:15. Also a brand new one just issued for Marion County, including Ocala and Bellevue for winds gusting over 60 miles per hour. But otherwise, these storms don't look too bad, do they? I mean, they're pretty small, but we've got all this stuff working north. So it's a heads up that if you're doing anything like fishing right now, you got friends or family that's out on the lake trying to get some hours in before the rain starts, give them a call, tell them to come inside. Our radar is indicating wind gusts of about 50 to 60 miles per hour in Eustis right now. Not everywhere in Eustis, and a lot of these wind gusts are just above the trees, but sometimes in these storms, the downpours can translate those upper level winds to the surface, and you can catch a brief wind gust over 60 miles per hour. Now to the south, we've had a lot of tornado warnings this morning and this afternoon. Right now, the Golden Gate region, south of Bonita Springs, is just getting out of a tornado warning, but very typical of a tropical system, especially one that is strengthening, that we get wind shear in the atmosphere that has winds blowing in different directions at different altitudes, resulting in rotating thunderstorms. A look right now at our Fox 35 storm tracker radar at Brevard County, west of Viera. We're starting to catch some thunderstorms here, also in northeastern Osceola County and in Orange County right now. In fact, in Orange County in the Christmas area and Bithlo, right along the beach line, 528, it is really pouring. The National Weather Service issuing a special weather statement for winds here, which could gust over 50 miles per hour. So as you're driving down the beach line, get ready for a buffeting. As conditions deteriorate later on this afternoon, especially west of Orlando, we're going to have to watch out for standing water on some of the roadways as well. All right, so let's take a look at future radar. Through 2 o'clock, we'll have isolated storms popping up here and there, and that'll be the same story through 3. Any one of these storms not only could be severe, but we may see a couple of them rotating. A tornado is certainly possible. As we go toward 4 o'clock, with the daytime heating kind of peaking where we have the most energy in the atmosphere, that'll definitely help lend to rotating thunderstorms. So that's also where we could see some of the heaviest rain. Any one of these bands from DeLand to Sanford to Bithlo could easily pack tropical storm force winds. That is sustained winds of some 39 to 45 miles per hour with higher gusts as these squalls blow through. 5 o'clock, same story around Orlando this Sunday afternoon. And then it looks like we're going to catch a break in the action. Oh, by the way, on the screen there to my right, check out all the cameras. They are featuring a lot of ominous skies and a lot of wind blowing. Now, between 8 p.m. and roughly probably bedtime, 10, 11 o'clock, we may not see much going on here locally. But out to the west, that's when things will change. Look at all this action in Tampa Bay this evening, forecast by our Fox model through 7 o'clock in the morning. This will be where you start to see those rainfall totals that could exceed a foot, and that could lead to widespread flooding. Western Marion County up through Levy County, Gilchrist, Alachua counties. Obviously, as you get into Dixie County, and as you push into Taylor County, Taylor County here, where Perry is, and up toward the Tallahassee area. Okay, so this is forecast to become a hurricane, making a landfall near Steinhatchee, maybe Perry, maybe Cedar Key tomorrow morning, anywhere between daybreak and about lunchtime. And all the while dragging rain with it through the Orlando region. I'm focusing mostly on Central Florida right now. We're going to get into the nuts and bolts of the actual future hurricane itself here in just a moment with Jessica Dobson. But yeah, you can see a look at the rains there, and also the bands that will continue pushing through here through the day Tuesday. So not just tomorrow, but also Tuesday. It's going to basically stall here off of the Carolina coastline. And in doing so, we're going to have a rain chance continuing all the while. Meanwhile, up there, they could see massive flooding. All right, as far as today is concerned, a very high risk for tornadoes. We're under a tornado watch till 8 p.m. This orange area, they're likely from Jacksonville all the way to Fort Myers, from roughly the Brevard-Osceola County line points west into Tampa Bay. I'll look right now at Titusville. Look at that flag flying from our Lunch Credit Union cam. Here's a shot from downtown Orlando. Gray skies, same story from our SunTrust cam. I drive right now, more of the same. Our sunny morning is now over. Lake Fairview cam looked like a tropical storm earlier on, and now things are starting to improve a bit. But look at all the people on the beach right now. Jessica, we were talking about how there's a really high risk for rip currents on our Atlantic beaches, so hopefully folks there are staying safe, and they've got to watch the sky because lightning is also another big threat. Jessica, tell us more about our tropical system here. We've got a lot going on here with this.
Oh yeah, certainly. And you want to make sure the National Weather Service was saying they are really encouraging people to stay off the beach. Don't get in the water. And on a day like this, when we have the incoming threat of these thunderstorms, they do have lightning, so it's just best to play it safe. All right, so we do have a lot of colors going on, right? But this is going to indicate where we have some watches and warnings in place. We have tropical storm warnings, that's going to be in red. We have tropical storm watches, that's where you see there in yellow. And these extend all the way almost to Orange County. They do include Lake County, that's where we have that tropical storm watch, which means that conditions could become favorable here over the course of the next couple of hours, and really over the next, I would say, 12 hours. But we are going to be seeing better chances of more hurricane force wind gusts closer to the nature coast, so further off to the north and west, and that is going to be where this will likely make landfall. This will turn into and develop into Hurricane Debby by later today, and in turn it's going to be making landfall as likely a Category 1 hurricane. So here's the latest path. This was issued at around 11 a.m. from the National Hurricane Center. It does show it strengthening into a Category 1 hurricane sometime later today. It's going to be tapping into some very warm, arguably hot ocean water in the Gulf. It's just going to be ripe for development, so that's going to be so the storm is going to be able to tap into that. And then looking ahead towards Monday morning, right around 8 a.m., that is when we have the better chances of seeing that landfall take place. So you've noticed it slowed down considerably over just even the last 24 hours, something we've really noticed with this. And that's one of the reasons why we are going to see quite a bit of heavy rain, and that's why it's one of the bigger factors and impacts that we're going to be expecting. One of those impacts, speaking of, is we have the risk of tornadoes, as Brooks was saying a little while ago. We do have the incoming or ongoing risk for tornadoes from now until around at least 8 o'clock tonight. So that's when we have a tornado watch in place. We have those red flashing boxes a bit further to our south in the Tampa Bay area. That's where we have tornado warnings ongoing. So that's where there is the imminent risk and imminent threat that tornado could be on the ground happening there. But when we have a watch in place, it kind of means that conditions are coming together, and we're going to be watching closely until 8 o'clock. Between now and 8 p.m., you want to make sure that you are staying weather aware and you have multiple ways to receive those weather alerts. But let's talk about our satellite, because this helps to paint the picture of just how strong the storm is, whether or not it's organized, if it's getting its act together. And as of right now, it really shows that on the eastern side of the storm, we have all this rain and moisture that's going to be moving in, and that's what's going to be really helping to bring us those impacts by later today. The core of the storm still well offshore, so we're going to be watching closely just how much it is able to develop, how long it sits over those warm ocean waters, because that's going to be a big factor in determining what we're going to be expecting here. And we have these steering currents and the steering flow, and that's what's really helping to slow this down, and that's what's going to be helping, for one, to dump a lot of rain over the area, and it's got a lot of real estate to work with in terms of the path, at least the way it stands right now, that we have a lot of real estate in terms of those very warm ocean waters. That's just going to essentially act as fuel. And then we also have the fact that it's going to be slowing down quite a bit. So those are a couple of things to keep in mind. So in terms of our forecast rainfall, I do want to give you some of these totals here, because again, rainfall is going to be one of the bigger factors that we are expecting as we head over the course of today and into tomorrow. So this is going to be our rainfall totals through about Wednesday. So by Wednesday, we're going to be done with Debby. So that'll be good news. But check out some of the totals. We could see as high as around almost 10 inches for some spots, especially closer to, say, Dixie County, Levy counties. For areas closer to Gainesville, our WOGX Fox 51 viewers, that's where we have the much higher chances of heavier downpours. That's going to be the case as well for really most areas west of the I-75 corridor. So where we see those bright shades of purples and pinks and really almost whites, that is where we have the heaviest rain potential. That's where we'll likely see some of the higher totals. Meanwhile, in Orlando, closer to, say, 2 to 4 inches, but we could see some pockets of heavier downpour set up. So we could see some isolated pockets with some higher rainfall totals. So that's just something to keep in mind. You want to take this kind of with a grain of salt, of course, when it comes to the specific locations. But when we talk about our forecast rainfall looking all the way up the East Coast, check this out. This is going to likely be a potentially historic rainfall event for much of the Carolinas. They're talking 10 to 20 inches of rain across parts of South Carolina there, closer to the North and South Carolina border there, the border belt. That's where they're talking about maybe 20 to 30 inches of rain. That's feet of rain. So that's really remarkable that they're going to be seeing that. So hopefully they will get things in order so everyone can stay safe. Here's a live view, though, of Tampa. This is on Bayshore Boulevard, where we can see the palm trees are swaying, and we're going to be seeing kind of a soggy and rocky go of things here as the day continues to progress. Let's talk about winds, though, because we have seen wind gusts pick up here over the last couple of hours. We've had our Titusville camera. I think we just had it up, and we're showing you the wind and the flag kind of blowing around there. And this is going to continue to be the case. So these are our current winds, but we've had gusts as high as around 30 to 35 miles per hour in some spots. Now, when it comes to our storm surge, we are going to be expecting around up to 10 feet of storm surge. So that's certainly enough to do some damage, especially along the Nature Coast, which is a little more vulnerable to seeing that storm surge. So up to 9 feet near Cedar Key, Horseshoe Beach, you're going to be closer towards around 10 feet. So even parts of Taylor County are going to be up to 10 feet as well. So that's still enough to cause some life-threatening conditions. And you want to make sure you never drive through flooded roadways. And really over the rest of today, and especially tomorrow, it's probably going to just be your best bet to stay home if possible. But let's talk about when you should prepare and what you should do today, tomorrow, especially North Florida, because that's where we're going to likely see the more intense impacts versus us in Central Florida. So for today, you want to likely finish all your plans over the course of the next 2 hours, because by 3 o'clock, that's where things will only continue to escalate, grow more widespread. Winds are going to continue to pick up. And then tomorrow, again, just stay home if you can. Be weather aware. Make sure you have your devices charged, that you have multiple ways to receive weather warnings, especially in the early morning hours. So late tonight and tomorrow morning, make sure you have a way to wake up if there are any warnings in place. And then, of course, by Tuesday, that's when we're going to be on the backside of the system. You want to make sure that you are being really cautious, really careful with generators, things like that. But today in the Orlando region, that's what we're going to be talking about. Today, you want to make sure you're just prepared. Have everything ready to go. Get your gas. I still need to do that today myself. That's what I'm going to be doing as soon as I leave today. But sandbags, if you are in one of those flood-prone areas, charge your devices. And then for tomorrow, make sure you're not driving through flooded roadways again. Remember that, and then be careful with those generators again. And by Tuesday, we're going to be watching for debris in the roadway, maybe down power lines too in some spots. So just make sure you're being really cautious and careful. But Brooks, I'm going to send it back over to you. It looks like you are going to finish up with another view of radar.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Jessica. So we've got severe thunderstorm warning now continuing for Marion County until 1:45. This storm moving northwest at 45. The main threat from this is wind gusts that could exceed 60 miles per hour. We're also catching more storms back through the villages, Leesburg villages. You're under severe thunderstorm warning till 1:15. So for about 2 more minutes. Back to the south and east, we've got more storms developing here across portions of southeastern Orange, eastern Orange, as well as Osceola counties moving northward. This one is heading right up toward Chulliota and Oviedo right now. So if you're watching from this area, heads up, all this action around Bithlo will be moving up toward Lake Jessup, and it will get quite windy there. All right, so let's talk about the big picture, Jessica. We are also quite active today, as we always are, but especially in storm mode on Fox Local. I encourage you to download that free TV app. It's really great to have. We've got live looping radar. We've got fresh content almost constantly, and we'll be doing a lot of weather on Fox Local that we won't necessarily be doing on the TV side due to timing and scheduling issues. So if we're not on TV, we're likely to be on Fox Local. That's where you can find us. Also, we're going to start doing on-air updates right here at the top. tops and bottoms, I guess I should say, of every hour starting at 2 o'clock. So stick with Fox 35. We'll have the latest as warnings may pop up, especially tornado warnings. We'll be there right for you. And if anything else breaks, you know where to go. We've got people here all day and all night until this is over. And we're likely looking at Tuesday before things start to quiet down. So on this Sunday afternoon at 1:15, after a live view of the radar and the severe thunderstorm warnings and the heads up that the weather's starting to get foul right now, we're turning to your normally scheduled programming. Keep in mind, we're on Facebook, we're on X. If you have any questions, jump on social media. Don't hesitate to ask. Have a good one. Stay safe.